Beautiful souls, welcome. So wonderful to see you. I'm just setting up the live here, and we're going to go live in just a minute. Awesome. All right, guys. So, welcome to Self Love Sundays. We're going to jump right in. And today we're going to start with the meditation. And then we're going to jump into a deep understanding of the meditation that we're going to go through. Because I want to share a practice with you. A lot of people have been asking me about a daily routine in order to help themselves come into the 0 point. And I just want to walk through this process of cultivation of the 0 point, what we're doing energetically, emotionally, and physically in the body. As I mentioned many times, we are clearing the energy body, bringing it back to zero. So when we are in a state of survival or fear or anxiety, or just not in the present moment, just in general, not in the present moment, we are depleting our life force. So these kind of training techniques like GPAC, for example, all of them are just helping us, reminding us to return back to the present moment and to solidify our awareness in the present moment in a way, not so much solidify is not the right word, but redirect our attention to the present moment, because it's in the present moment that we have access to way more of our creative potential. It's in the present moment that you have the ability to see and experience your reality multidimensionally. But the reason why we want that awareness is because you come into the real reality of your life, not the illusions of the past that you're maybe reliving constantly unconsciously, patterns that you keep drawing you back to repeating patterns of behaviors emotionally, physically, that are maintaining you in cycles of repetition. Those are always going to be a depletion of your past. So to be aware is really to be able to come into your most authentic self, not repeating old programs, not repeating ancestral programs, not repeating any kind of limiting belief systems that you have been repeating in your life. These are all ways that we inhibit our creative potential, block our ability to expand into our highest awareness. And really, the highest form of awakening, the highest form of entering into a high level of consciousness is really your ability to come into your most authentic self. And if you can narrow down the 0 point and your spiritual practice to one thing, is to focus on becoming authentic, because that is really the greatest challenge for the majority of people that exist, humans that exist in this very sensory world, three-dimensional sensory world, where everything is about what we're feeling, what we're sensing, what we're picking up, and then we revert immediately to the survival, a more primal state of existence, because we just react in order to survive. And so this kind of behavior of constant reacting to the external world is a repetition. It's an unconscious state. So what would the opposite look like? The opposite is to be fully present in the moment, where you are aware of, of yourself in its full authenticity. And, ideally, before we enter into the busy world, into the busy lives that we lead, that we develop a practice, a daily practice where we sit with ourselves and with making time to get to know ourselves very well, making time to get to know who we really are, who is that authentic self. Because again, in the beginning of waking up, you might believe that you are accessing the higher self. You might believe that you are embodying your. It's just a matter of being in a joyful mood, or a pleasant state of being. And so these are kind of like spiritual bypassing emotional states that kind of have been put up in a pedestal through the spiritual communities to some of these spiritual practices, um, where in reality, what spiritual awakening is to find who you are really, truly. What do you really feel? What do you really believe? What are your core values? And are you living by those values? Um, do you know how to live by those values? Most of the confusion that I am working with on a daily basis in my practice is that we don't know what our core values are because we don't know what is right or we don't know what's wrong. We're confused. We're so disconnected from our authentic self, and we're so disconnected from the natural order of things. And we are bombarded by information through social media, through the news, through whatever media it is, whatever it is that is distracting us and taking our attention in the masculine, which is the action, and in the feminine, in our intuition, usually blocking that intuition into just survival mechanisms. All of that is redirecting us away from understanding who we really are. So the awakening process is to pause and stop and to interrupt the constant depletion of your life force, and to really assess, who are you living for? Who do you act for? Who do you feel for? Who is it that you are? Who within you, what part of you, the ego or the soul, are you keeping alive and thriving through your every expression, through your every creation? And creation is the words that you're speaking, the thoughts that you're thinking, the intentions that you are putting out in the world. Until we really understand the weight of our creation, of our creative potential, the world will always be desensitized from the cause and effect, the true cause and effect of our actions and our creations. And we will always fall into a victim mode. We will always fall into the mode of separating ourselves from the effect of our creations. And that is a confused state, that you think that you're separate from your creations, that there are other external forces more powerful than you and your creations, that have more control over you, that have more power over your life and your ability to live your life and control and create in your life and manifest. This is matrix conditioning, and this is an inversion of the laws of truth. In reality, we have 100% ability to manifest and create in our life based on our core intentions once you tap into them. Because understanding your authentic self, the true authentic self that is within you, is a vibrational frequency. It's a geometric structure that is in harmony with the universe. And it's an innate aspect of yourself that exists within you underneath the layers of conditioning. This true self is a very potent light form, that your light structure is immense, because the authentic self doesn't limit itself to identifying itself with any one aspect of itself. The authentic self allows itself to come into its full expression, its full authenticity, without judgment, without limitation. So let's make that practical and see, what does that look like in an everyday interaction. Let's say you are with friends or family, your partner, your husband or wife, and you are in the kitchen, and partner says something that begins to trigger an emotion within you. Immediately, where you draw your information to respond to that is going to begin to come from the filing cabinet of memory of experiences that we've developed. And those memories of experiences that we've developed, we're cultivating, all our lives, particularly from the womb until the age of 7. This is our core foundational belief system, and this is also where we begin to adopt our value system that we will be operating from. So if as a child, our experience in our family home is about lies and deceit and survival and betrayal, and these are very micro little things. Just the fact that our environment is not a mirror for authenticity on any level is basically teaching us subconsciously to move away from our authentic self. And we have many examples of that as children, our parents saying, be quiet, don't talk, or don't express yourself, or you're not feeling what you're feeling, or you're not seeing what you're seeing, or what just happened didn't just happen in this family right now. What you're picking up isn't real, and then we have an overlay of what we relate to playing and fantasy, right? So all of that is confused. Authentic play is overlapped with conditioning. Even toys are designed to put certain ideas subconsciously into our mind about the construct of our reality. These are really deep aspects that we ignore, but we have to understand that you are like a sponge. You are a light and a sponge. You are a constant absorbing of your entire environment. And we have become desensitized from that during this last era. The era that we're coming into right now is an opening of sensitivity. It's an expansion of your creative potential. It's an expansion of your intuition. And it's an expansion of your creative potential in how you are linking mind, body, and soul, the integration of the lower, the middle, and the upper dantian, which are all three participating in the creation of human experience multidimensionally. So the era that we're entering into of higher sensitivity requires us to really connect with what we are feeling. It is a time to come back to the feeling body and begin to untangle all of the belief systems, the inversions of belief systems that you might be storing subconsciously that contribute to your reactions. Okay, so let's take it back to the kitchen with the partner, right? As soon as we begin to recognize, pause just in that moment, that's what it's going to take. It takes the pause to begin to choose your next step. And so my invitation is that you give yourself, you love yourself enough. This is real love. Love is the ability to allow yourself to pause for a moment, observe yourself, and then choose your creation in that moment. This moment of awareness it's very interesting. It's almost like we have to slow down the unconscious behavior in order to align with the speeding up of time and frequency collected in this universe. Because right now, things are moving faster. Okay, time is moving faster. The frequencies are faster that we're entering into, and our body is adjusting and adapting to these higher frequencies every octave as we move into this new era. From now until 2035, the vibrational frequency will be very different for every single human on this planet. We are moving at a higher octave frequency collectively, which means that we're going to be experiencing a shorter lapse between intention and creation. And AI is modeling that, an example. Okay, it's just an example. We're not revering AI, we're just understanding what is happening collectively in this universe. Okay, in this world, in this planet, when advanced technologies like that start to enter into the societal system, we are about to emerge into a quantum leap energetically and vibrationally for all organic matter. Okay, so we are learning how to become as potentially, let's just say computationally, have that potential, that instant potential to access massive amounts of information instantaneously. In order for humans to be able to do that, we have to clear up some space. And to clear up that space, we have to get very clear about how to access information. We have to learn how to access information. We have to master discernment. It's very important to master discernment at this time. And if it's one thing that I can share with you during this next 2 years, that is going to be where my focus of my work is and has been, with the implementation of classes like energy reading clinics, telepathy training, remote viewing training. These are things that are already innately within us, and the classes that we've had so far are they just expand my heart, because every single one of the participants is able to experience this firsthand. Okay, so you can practice this at home with your family, with your kids. You can be practicing these things. The purpose of that is to train your intuitive ability. And the intuition and what we're training is trust. We are learning how to trust ourselves. This is the key to discernment. It is the foundational core of learning to discern. Why? Because in the process of learning to trust is where we understand and learn the subtleties of what is in harmonic order and what is out of harmonic order. Okay, so we talked about what's right and wrong, right? What we're really learning is how to recognize order and disorder. And we learn how to recognize order and disorder within ourselves, within our thoughts, within our process, within our actions. And it can be very tricky because, again, we've been falling asleep for such a long time that we might not have been present for some of the decisions that we have been making. And so whenever you wake up, people experience sometimes crises and conflicts with themselves because they have to become accountable and understand all the choices you have made up until this moment, and also see why you have made them. That's why it's very important to see that. If you don't understand what drives your decisions in your life, you're going to miss the connection between what drives you subconsciously. And within that drive is a series of programmings of fears, self-doubts, self-disconnect, self-hate, fear of yourself, fear of the world, fear of loss of control. I mean, there's a gamut of programs that we are living out as a human condition. None of them are new, none of them are different. They are all what we have been essentially cycling through during the last era, in which we have experienced the densities of this evolutionary process. We are coming out of a very dense era. And in this dense era, we are externalizing our power. There's an imbalance between feminine and masculine power, control, and how we manifest those two energies in the world. There's been an inversion of how those energies have been handled. And it's a reflection of our disconnect from those parts of ourselves. Okay, it's both. We are a reflection of them, and it is a reflection of what we are holding within our body. So those of you that have been born during this time, we are here to experience the rebalancing of these systems inside out. We are here to experience the returning back to multidimensionality of being a human on this planet and experiencing multidimensionality. We're here to experience the reconnection and the re-embodiment of higher octaves of consciousness, frequency, and the higher self, individually and collectively, because we're moving away from this very dense human experience into a higher dimensional, multidimensional way of experiencing co-creation. And so those of you, of course, many humans have different purposes on this life that all maintain certain harmonic order in the collective earth. But everyone is moving into a higher octave of that same, the same balance. So that being said, discernment is something that we are learning as a human race. Really, the entire race is maturing into understanding what does it look like to come into harmonic order. And over the next couple years, we're going to see kind of like the tail end of these imbalanced behaviors, wars, you know, a very desensitized projection of life. We don't value life. We don't value our own life. And we don't value our own life because we're in survival. And I know that might seem like, the opposite. But what we are now learning as a human race is that the more that we exist in a state of survival, the less chance we have really of prolonging the strength of our genetic history. And this is the interesting thing about this, kind of eugenics program that is in the back end of these things, ran by these shadow systems, is that when you eliminate genetic lineages that are cultivating light in the body, alchemizing light in the body, for many generations, we go into states of collective unconsciousness. So what is happening now is that as you alchemize yourself, as you alchemize these limiting belief systems into a more unity consciousness, we are changing the way our DNA is expressing. We are expanding our potential. When we expand creative potential by broadening our perception into unity consciousness, spiritually, physically, and emotionally, and energetically, we are activating DNA, the holographic system of DNA. Every time that your perception expands beyond the physical, you are using more of your DNA, of the information that is available. Why? Because the DNA is simply the database that is pulling from many dimensions into the subconscious, into your immediate creation. And all of that is being processed through the morphogenetic field because everything is existing simultaneously. Everything exists right here, right now. All potentials are available to you in this moment. So as we learn how to master our frequency, right? By regulating the nervous system, by controlling the emotional body, and really truly processing emotions fully in order to be able to discern creation rather than self-destruction, by the cultivation of self-love. Real self-love, the actual self-love, is to allow this human body to come into that highest authenticity, whatever is the true light that is within you underneath all these programs, patterning, conditioning that we have adopted. And the ability to see yourself as you really are in your full potential. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, the terrible, what you judge as terrible, what you judge as impure, what you judge as not good, what you judge as unlovable. These are the parts of you that are extremely valuable to your ability to access your power. Your power is held within the parts that you resist. And I want you to really think about what is resistance? What's your relationship with resistance in your life? Okay, what do you resist in your life? Do you resist your dream life? Do you resist your what you really want to say all the time? Okay, that goes into another conversation. Does your creativity come into a constant resisting? Are you resisting your own truth? Okay, take a look at your relationship with resistance, because the majority of your energetic body that becomes contracted in the nervous system, in the muscle system, in the fascia of the body, is memorizing patterns of resistance. So how much do you exist in states of constant resistance in your life? And how much of you allows yourself to be authentic? fearlessly come into your authenticity without holding back or being afraid of judgment, judging yourself, right? Because your judgment that you hold and how your relationship with judgment is, it's what we've learned through our family. It's what we've learned through our ancestral lineage. And it's very deeply infused in the construct by creating illusions of reality that are not real. So we have to come back to reality. And the thing about that is that your reality is what you create in the present moment that is in aligned with that most authentic self, that is most in harmony with natural order and the laws of the universe. That is reality. What is in harmony with these laws of the universe in harmonic order. And we want to kind of take a look at how far have we gotten away from that harmonic order. So if our life is in constant chaos, stress, if you really observe your life in that state of constant stress and anxiety, you know, who are you allowing to survive within you? You're feeding the false self. You're feeding the part of you that has been in survival since you were a child. And this little inner child that has not had their needs met lives through you so loudly, creating things that you really rather not experience sometimes. And so then we feel completely helpless, overwhelmed, powerless. And we are powerless to our own desensitization of what we truly are, of our own authenticity. We have desensitized ourselves from our authentic self. So in this process of discovering who you are, it is a requirement for you to be meditating on a daily basis. Every single day, you must have a practice of meditation. And I say must as an invitation. Because, my clients every day are, a lot of people have a meditation practice. People that don't have a meditation practice, it feels difficult to sit with ourselves. It feels difficult to sit with our emotions, with what we're feeling, because we haven't given ourselves permission to feel, perhaps. We haven't given ourselves permission to change. And I remember that as a very powerful part of my awakening process, that there came a point where I had to give myself permission. For a long time, I looked outside for permission, right? Looking outside, who thinks it's good enough to change? Who thinks it's good enough to be more kind, more loving, more harmonious with myself? And you're not going to find that permission outside. It's something that you have to give yourself. Why? Because we have to reparent ourselves. Doesn't matter how old you are. We are reparenting ourselves. Every time that you play out a behavior that is repeating down your ancestral lineage as a limitation of your highest creative potential for generations and generations, it means that we need to reparent ourselves, because we're playing out these rules, these ancestral belief systems, these ancestral limitations. And that is, you got to understand that your repetition of ancestral limitation is the reinforcement of the matrix. Because the matrix lives through your unconscious creation. So, we some people feel like they're victimized by this system. They're like, oh, this matrix, we have to dissolve, destroy it, we have to get rid of the 1%. It is ourselves within ourselves that we have to work with. It is ourselves within ourselves that has to reparent ourselves, bring ourselves back into harmonic order. Reconnection with nature doesn't mean go hiking every weekend. Reconnection with nature means to pause enough to come back into this vibrational frequency of observation where we allow our most raw, authentic self to emerge. That's what it means to come back into alignment with nature. Because when you begin to see your raw, authentic self, that's when you start to see the wild part of you, the most expressive part of you, until you start to work with those parts, bring those parts where they need to be, feed the needs of all of those wild parts of yourselves that have been suppressed, that have been hurt, that have been damaged, that have been ignored within you, in order to bring yourself back into what you really are. Because a lot of these parts of you that have been suppressed and have been dying to come out, it's underneath. Again, those are conditionings. And so the peeling of those layers until you come to your authentic self, you're going to find your authentic self doesn't need anything. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't need anyone. It doesn't need anything. It is not fearful. It's not in danger. It's not sick. It's not dying. It's not alone. It's not helpless. It's never been powerless. The true authentic self is completely connected with with everything. And when we look at nature, every organism in nature is highly interdependent with one another. And they exist in that harmony. Animals, plants, all of these natural systems, these organic regenerative models. Don't pinpoint one certain species and tell me, that's not really how it functions. We're talking about natural systems of exchange. That's what we're talking about. How we exchange with one another in a harmonious manner that is not wasteful, that is not destructive, that is not wasteful is primarily the focus. It is conscious. It's a conscious creation. So we are learning from these natural systems once again how to come back into this harmonic exchange, harmonic order of experiencing. So let's talk about how to come in to this order on a daily basis, how to come into authenticity. Because authenticity, your authenticity, is the highest form of vibrational frequency. That authenticity is exactly what we're trying to cultivate from the 0 point, the cultivation of the 0 point. Cultivation of the 0 point is the non-judgmental observer of your raw state in whatever it is. That is your authentic self. That's what we are working for. We're not working to be stoic specifically. We're not working to suppress anything. We are working to become more truthful, to align with truth. That is harmonic order. What is your truth? And it requires time to get to know that part. Okay, so let's go into the meditation. We're going to be working with a daily practice that I invite you to do on a daily basis. And in this meditation practice, we're addressing we're working with the structure of your energy body, working with the etheric layers of the subconscious mind in order to reset you back into that 0 point. We're going to break karmic contracts, because when you have when you are in an unconscious state, you are repeating, as I mentioned, the ancestral agreements of experiences since ages, right? The ancestral history of everything for ages and ages. All of that is encoded in your DNA. All of that is projected in the subconscious mind. And in the subconscious mind, this is where we can hold contractual agreements. With every single human that you've interacted with in your life, you have contractual agreements in the waking state and in the dream state. So how do we reset back to zero? Is we eliminate those contracts. And you have to do it consciously on a daily basis. The elimination of these contracts allows you the ability to move away from the repetition of that energy. It depletes the bioelectrical charge. Remember that you're bioelectrical. Information is energy, okay? It's energy. So all of that information that you're processing subconsciously, because right now we don't have mastery over our mind. Our mind is wild. Our mind is, again, pulling from the survival mechanism. It's in the past, it's in the future. You know, we have no control over the mind when you don't meditate and when you don't grow gray matter in the brain, when you don't develop stillness in your mind. You know, you are just moving through all kinds of things. And so we have to develop that stillness in the mind, intentional thoughts, intentional creations. We have to develop that. That's something that needs to be developed, and that will regulate your nervous system and vice versa. Okay, so the cultivation of that stillness, that observer that we have to rediscover within us, you know, we without that, we're pulling from all kinds of agreements. We don't know why we're doing, we don't know why we're thinking, why we're behaving. And those are creating energetic agreements. Every action, every input that you put into the system through your emotions, every emotion that you feel is an agreement. That's something that we need to understand, because let's say you are triggered by someone. That triggering exchange of information and energy is an agreement. It goes both ways, and it's an agreement because you are a vibrational match to the person triggering, or the thing triggering, or the event triggering you. You are a vibrational match to you. You have within your system, within the history of your ancestral bloodline, within your contractual agreements that you're playing out, you have the resonance of that vibrational frequency within you. You do not react unconsciously to things that are not within you. You don't experience what is not within you. So to change your life experience and to choose different collective timelines, right now we're in the timeline of war. Why? Because a lot of people are at war with themselves and with each other. We have so much deep confusion in our subconscious mind. We're so desensitized from death. We're desensitized from understanding the value of life. We're desensitized from understanding natural order and playing out that natural order in our everyday lives. We waste, we destruct the earth, we disconnect from the cause and effect of our actions. We don't realize who we are and why we are creating the way we are. So we do not want to go in the direction of war. There are many timelines that are available in this planet, in this system. One of those timelines is war, and then it's the beginning of the end of the human race in a very suffering way. A lot of suffering for many people. Everyone's suffering is our suffering. Okay, so when one human suffers, we are suffering too. And as we move towards unity consciousness, as we enter into this higher octave of multidimensionality, you're going to feel and pick that up more. Your life will present to you experiences where you will feel and experience those same little sufferings in micro ways, in different ways, different names, but the same core value of self-destruction, self-hate, rejection, loneliness, separation, ultimately all separation, ultimately all fear of the unknown. So the timeline that we want to choose for humanity, there's many, is the reconnection with harmonic order in order to take back creative power. We are not victims. We are not enslaved. This is not a slave planet. We are not enslaved by anything other than our own disconnect to ourselves. Okay, so we have these shadow movements in the background that have emerged and have been strengthened by the previous era because we were furthest away from this center point. So in every movement of the universe, we come closer and farther away from a higher vibrational frequency. So we just went through a 24,000 cycle of coming through the density furthest away from that high vibrational frequency. That's why we experience all those things. We are moving out of that into a higher vibrational frequency collectively. We're entering into another 24,000 years of higher octave existence. So that means that the preparation for that means that if you, those of you that are here on this channel, you guys are in resonance with me. So you know very well where we need to head, the direction that we're heading. And what needs to be done is the deprogramming of this matrix within us because it's a false construct. It's an inversion of what's true. It's an inversion of harmonic order. And so what we are now coming into is unity consciousness. What does that mean? Doesn't mean we're going to go build communities with one another. And it's just these old ideas that we have. It's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. It means that you are connecting to the field. You become one with the field. That's collective consciousness. You, yourself, in your body, in your own home, in your own family. You connect to the field. You have access to infinite information. You have access to higher faculties through your body, which are necessary for the new model of, we're going to say, survival, because the navigation of this construct is shifting. How we need to navigate this construct is shifting. The old ways of survival are not going to work anymore. Those will be how we are destroyed. Okay, old survival model is how the human race goes into destruction. New survival model is to connect to the field and to be able to connect to higher octave information. We are maturing. Our human race is maturing into another level of civilization. And that is multidimensional. It's higher vibrational frequency. It's a higher octave. So we can become familiar with that octave by aligning with harmonic order. And so the destruction of your contractual agreements is a service to yourself, but it's also a service to humanity. Because all the contractual agreements you made in your life are a mirror of the contractual agreements that you're making in other dimensional lives that you're living simultaneously. That's the collective DNA pool, which all creation is pooling from. Okay, so we kind of have to work with that. And again, who you really are underneath all these programs, that authentic self, is a very powerful system of manifestation. And that's what we want to enforce into this system now, is the authentic creator that is within you. It is that observer of the 0 point. So training that pause, training that creative potential is key at this time. Okay, so let's go into the meditation. All right, get nice and comfortable. Go ahead and put your questions in capital letters. I will answer your questions at the end. You can put them in the chat if you're in the Zoom with me, or you can put them on the chat in the YouTube. Okay, go ahead and ground yourself down to the center of the earth. Come back into your body. Majority of you are outside of your body. Majority of you are in survival. You don't even know what your back feels like. You're not present with your back of your body, with your full body. So bring your awareness into your body. Come back into this vessel. You cannot do anything until you come back into this vessel. Everything, all potential timelines are available to you through this body. So you cannot, there's no separation. Ground yourself down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and feel the vibration of the earth through your body. This will immediately bring your brain into alpha state and let go of those thoughts of what you need to do today, what you have to do yesterday, tomorrow. Bring yourself fully into the present moment from wherever you are. Okay, good. And be aware of your body, of your field, your energy body. So you're gonna tap into a sphere around your body. This is your energy body. Your sphere around your body is made out of thousands of toroidal fields that emit from your physical body and continue on into the morphogenetic field through your energetic light structure. Go ahead and tap into the sphere around you and just being aware of where you feel variations of energy, blocks of energy around you. Visualize that bubble around you completely sealed. No holes, no openings. Bring your awareness to your energy body and feel yourself at the center of this sphere. Go ahead and focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine. You're going to shrink that root chakra down to the size of a dime. Up into the sacral chakra, you're going to shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime. Up into the solar plexus, you're going to shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime. Go ahead and expand your heart, open your heart front and back. Expand the sphere of your heart. Open to your throat, expand your throat. Go up into your third eye, expand your third eye. Go up into your crown, expanding the crown. Go ahead and fill your crown with your creative color. It's the color of your higher self. You're going to align your higher self with your career, family, relationships, health, vitality, money, sexual energy, creative potential, and your spiritual purpose. Go ahead and fill that into the crown as you expand the field of your crown. And let's go deeper. Go ahead and bring from the center of the earth a very healing color. You can choose what color that is, the most healing color that you need at this time. Use your intuition. Usually the first color or colors is the one that you need. You're going to pull that up from the earth up into your feet. As it goes up into your shins, your calves, your solar plexus. And when it enters into the solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy, rotates at the center core. Go ahead and move that energy. From cosmos, from source, you're going to bring down a powerful wave of golden energy that comes rotating at the center core of your body. As you mix these two colors in the center core, you're going to see them rotating around your field. Go ahead and take 10% of that combination back down to the center of the earth. Creating a channel of illumination. Take this time to imagine that you're clearing your energetic body. Everything goes down to the center of the earth. Thoughts, emotions, whatever does not serve you here in this moment, let it go. Breathing. Go ahead and take 80% of this green healing energy and gold energy up your spine. And from the crown of the head, coating the outside of your bubble, go ahead and see the combination of this energy clearing your relationship with the matrix. Take this time to call back your life force from people, places, and things that are no longer in alignment with you. You're going to take the final 10% of green and gold energy up your spine, and you're going to bring it into the body now, absorbing into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of your body, healing the body, transforming any darkness into light. Absorb that healing energy in through every cell of your body, directing this energy to the parts of your body that require more healing, more love, more attention. Fill all the needs that your body is asking you for at this time with this energy. Okay, go ahead and visualize that your bubble around you. It's going to show you all the blockages and debris that you're holding in your energetic space for the past week, months, however long it's been since you've sat to clear your energy body. Allow yourself to see what you've been storing in your energetic body. So you're going to shift your senses into tapping into your energetic body and begin to clear your bubble. You can work from front to back and back to front clockwise. Whatever feels real to you, you're going to visualize that you're eliminating all of that blockages, all those debris, all those stagnant energies in your field. You can let them go down into the center of the earth as if they're being vacuumed and sucked out of the body, out of the field. Or you can send them up through the crown of your head, up into the cosmos, being sucked out in that direction. Whatever feels real to you, make it easy and simple. Don't overthink, don't overanalyze. Use your intuition and most importantly, your intention to consciously clear your energetic body from all this debris, all that is blocking you. Everything that you tap into in your field, it's what you carry around with you throughout your day. This makes you resonant to the things that you experience. So we're going to bring the body back into the 0 point by clearing everything out. Once you clear your energetic body, notice how you feel. And visualize a house. The house represents your subconscious mind. This house has many rooms in it. We're going to go into the first room that is filled with your karmic contracts. As you enter into that room, notice and observe the contracts that are there. What do they look like? Just observe how many there are. And you're going to use your crown chakra to dissolve all these karmic contracts until that room is completely empty. As you clear that room completely, notice if there are any hidden back rooms in that room, closets or basements. Just eliminate completely until you see this room empty. And you're going to fill that room with your creative color of your crown. You're going to fill it and align it with your higher self. You're going to place your higher self energy in this room. Again, this house represents your subconscious mind. As you align your higher self with your karma, your experiences of cause and effect, you are choosing now that you will experience things from your free will. It means that you are consciously aware every moment, choosing and creating, not repeating. Everything that you perceive as a block, as a problem, as a conflict in your life, as a limitation in your life is gently removed. Your perception about it changes, and so does the event or experience. It doesn't mean that it just disappears overnight, but you have the potential of shifting from one timeline to another. Okay, once you feel complete in this room and you've illuminated with your creative color, go ahead and leave that room, and we're going to go down the hall to another room. This room represents all of our quote unquote enemies, or people that don't have our best interest, that we have a lot of karmic relationships with. Go ahead and enter that room, and you're going to see shadows. You don't need to see any specific person or form or shape or face or name. Just go ahead and take a look at these shadows, or however they are presenting themselves to you. Go ahead and shine your crown light on top and dissolve all these shadows from this room. These are all the people that we've attracted based on our karmic resonance to experience and learn things in painful or more physical, more dense ways. Just go ahead and eliminate that. And once again, we're going to fill this room with our creative color, aligning these relationships with our higher self. You're going to see a bundle of sticks at the center of this room. Go ahead and pick up those bundles of sticks and break them in half. As you break the cords, remember that along with contracts, we have cords. Cords are how we reinforce contracts. Allow yourself to break those cords completely, those sticks. Okay, let's go ahead and work now with our family member. Go ahead and leave that room. And I want you to see in front of you all of your family members, friends, all the people that you've been in contact in the past week. You work with people, your clients, your associates, your colleagues, students, friends, families, partners, husbands, wives, children, every single human that you've been in contact with in the past week. Go ahead and see them in a crowd in front of you, and you're going to begin to clear your energetic space on a higher contractual level. Go ahead and break the contracts with them. So just cut the cords on their end, and you're going to connect those cords to source. And go ahead and pull those cords out of your body and connect them to source. Call back your life force into your body. Okay. As you allow yourself to release all these people, places, and things of the past week, you'll notice that your energy is beginning to concentrate in your body. And we're going to go deeper. I want you to begin to observe throughout your week how many times you have resisted from coming into your authenticity, your most authentic expression. Observe it in the most non-judgmental way as you begin to see yourself in the past week, all the experiences that you might have been betraying yourself, rejecting yourself, resisting yourself, disconnected from yourself. And just observe the impact of that inauthenticity with others. How does it affect others? Just observe what you see. Don't judge. Notice how much of your life force is depleted in this inauthenticity. Take a look at how this makes you feel to be inauthentic with yourself. How many times are we performing, trying to control others or yourself, suppressing what you really feel, what you think, and then observing your thoughts and just checking in. Are they really your thoughts? Are we just playing out the motions for others, ideas, or beliefs? How much of our actions are truly congruent with our core values, what we value truly at the core? And just notice which one of your chakras begins to flare up, feel blocked or overactive when you tune into these emotions. That is most likely where all your energy is being depleted from. Go ahead and take a look. What is it that you need in order to be more authentic? What do you need from yourself towards yourself to embody authenticity? What are some of the things that you need to let go of pursuing in order to embody authenticity? Allow yourself to feel the emotions that are coming up completely. With each emotion, observe it in your body as it rises up. And every emotion that you allow yourself to feel completely, you will feel a release of tension in the body, a release of contraction. Notice how familiar you are with what you need. And begin to fill your body with exactly what you need in order to be authentic. Every time your mind tries to bring some logic to contradict this emotion in your body, just feel that emotion fully and see what is the need that needs to be met underneath that, and immediately meet the need. Whatever comes up that you feel that you need but you're not familiar with, all you have to do is feel it in your body and you will become familiar with it. Let's say you're not very familiar with self-acceptance or peace. Fill your body with self-acceptance. If you don't know what that feels like, tune into something that is the closest that you've ever experienced to that emotion. So, for example, self-acceptance. What's the closest that you felt to self-acceptance? It can be one time that you were proud of yourself of something. Allow yourself to feel that pride, and you will learn from those moments. As you feel the emotion, you will learn what emotions arise by feeling the emotion. And that will acquaint yourself with deepening that in your body, that memory in your body. And as you begin to feel these emotions in your body, you are reprogramming yourself, expanding your DNA with more information about what is available to you. Go ahead and see what you need and fill your body with this. You can turn it into a color. Let's say that you discover that you need more love towards yourself, and you can turn that into a color pink or whatever color feels real for you. And just infuse your body with that color. That color is energy, it's vibrational frequency, and it's information. Go ahead and see all the fractals of yourself that have repeated this pattern over the past week, month, year, and you can fill them up with this color and this information as well. As you infuse your fractals with this color, you will begin to adjust your energy body. Notice that at this time, many things are adjusting. Your emotional state, your nervous system is expanding, your muscle system is expanding. The body comes into a state of less contraction, more expansion. And also, your energy field is expanding around your body. You might notice that your posture changes, and this is a restructuring of your geometry in your body, your biological geometry. Okay, go ahead and allow yourself to clear all these memories from the past. And you're going to focus on opening the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and integrate all of these healed fractals of yourself back into your body. You want to let yourself integrate that fully. Open the sacral chakra, the solar chakra, open it back into a balanced state, maybe like 6 inches wide on the roots, the sacral, the solar. You're going to close your heart just a little bit. Maybe bring it from 6 feet or 4 feet back to 2 feet. Your throat back to 2.5 feet. Your third eye back into 3 feet. And your crown, you're going to illuminate it with your creative color, expanding it all around you so that this becomes your filter of perception. Your higher self becomes the filter of your perception. Excellent. Go ahead and activate the 8th, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 chakra. As you illuminate your higher chakras, connect up into source, bring source light down into the crown of your head, down into through your body, down the perineum into the center of the earth. As you anchor yourself firmly in this construct by bringing more of your higher self, more of source into your body, you're going to see a pillar of light down through the solar plexus out through the back. And you're just going to see this pillar of light, basically an access energy point that maintains you within this earth realm. Okay. As long as you maintain these pillars of light without obstruction, your body is aligning with nature and natural order. Go ahead and open your eyes, and with your eyes open, you're going to continue to see your grounding cord, continue to see your energy body, your chakras all the way up. And welcome back. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to share today's session with you. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Put it in capital letters. Apologies, my battery quit. No problem, Ted. We're glad you're here. Let's go into the questions here. I'm going to come into the YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Ooh, so many questions. Okay, let's see. Chris, I feel too weighed with my creation and become frozen. I'm afraid of what I create, fueling inversion unconsciously. How do we not let the pressure to create from purity stifle us from creating at all? Excellent question. So I hope, Chris, that you were here for the meditation and you were able to observe that, because I think this is what we're trying to answer in today's meditation. And I would love to ask what you saw was blocking you from coming into your authenticity. And essentially, it comes down to whatever we believe about our authenticity that limits us. So if we believe that our authentic self, or what we believe, what we know, what we are creating, what we're doing is wrong in some way, or we're afraid of it being rejected, or, we have to take a look at our participation. How much are you judging yourself? Your fear of your creation, where is that coming from? Okay. Have you experienced in your life that your creations have hurt you in some way? And if so, who was creating in that moment? Was it really your higher self? Was it really your true self? Or was it the one surviving, the one striving for love, for attention, for protection, for approval, for acceptance? You see, we don't realize how unconscious we are. And even when we think we're awake, you see, there's many levels of waking up. So every experience is valuable. Every experience is super important. There's no wrong experience. Even if we have experienced pain or suffering, that temporary perception of suffering and separation is necessary for your evolution. The key is that from those experiences, you were able to learn how you got there. That's all that they're there for. And this goes for everyone, wherever you are on this planet. What is bringing you into this experience? What has driven you to provide you into the time and place in which you experience what you're experiencing. And what were your values at that time? If your values were to survive and to avoid yourself or to avoid something, then we are in a contracted state. Okay. So what would it look like if you were no longer afraid of avoiding what you were avoiding? What would it look like if you were no longer in a contracted state? Okay, so that would change a lot of things. It would change the people that you're attracted to, the activities that you want to do. It would change why you do them, how you do them. It would change a lot of things. Even in, let's say you're pursuing a business career, or business, and when you do that business from survival, let's say you're willing to compete with people, you're willing to hurt people, you're willing to steal, you're willing to lie, you're willing to defend yourself, you're willing to play this game of competition and let's say sales, right? Won over. We're more powerful, a power in order to succeed. So that is living out that dream from the place of survival. As opposed to, let's say you pursue that same career from a place of your authentic self, where you trust yourself, you love yourself. You will be very mindful about what you're creating, why you're creating, being mindful that it's causing less suffering to other people, because other people's suffering is our suffering, right? So let's say the business is, going to abuse children in other countries, then we take a second and think that's not in the highest alignment. I want to do the same thing without harming as much as we possibly can. So that would be not in survival. That would be more conscious actions, more aligned with your core values, if those are your core values. But you see, core values come down to your self-love. And to love yourself means that you understand unity, and you understand that you're one with everything. You're not separate from anything. So you are very mindful of your actions. You're mindful of the words that you speak. You're mindful of what you're doing, and that it's coherent with the whole, not just you. That's to really love yourself. Because as soon as you start blinding yourself from a certain cause and effect of your expression, that's when you're going to be blindsided by the pain and suffering that will come later when you come to that realization. So the idea is to come into that realization constantly all the time, so that you always have a higher perception of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Your creation that is more in harmony with your self-love, everything that you do from fear will result in suffering and pain. That's a law of the universe. It's a law of creation. What you do with love for yourself and the whole, that will result in more creation for everyone. That's something that we have to take into consideration when we're looking at the timelines of becoming transhumanist and actual organic co-creation. Okay. So anyway, thank you so much for that question. I hope that answers your question. Okay. And so I guess, and also just to end that, in order to love yourself, accepting all negative aspects of ourselves, integrating. And so we don't become enemies with the part that is in survival. That part that is in survival is hurting. It doesn't know any other way. It's that little child that's acting out, like trying to survive from in the way that it's learned. So again, we have to reparent that little inner child that is in a state of survival, that is creating from fear, and show the child how to create from love. That is self-love. To show yourself how to embody love for yourself and others is the act of self-love. So you release the pressure on yourself, because the pressure is self-created. The stifling is self-stifling. We don't trust our discernment. We don't trust ourselves with what we know. But Chris, I bet at the very center core of yourself, you know what is really a creation that is in alignment. And oftentimes it's more work, right? Because we have to go out of our way to be really mindful, to be a conscious citizen in this universe. It requires you to expand your perception and to be aware of all these parts. That's being present. It's not like you fall asleep to, oh, well, I don't know how that's going to affect that guy. So let's just pretend we don't see that or hear that. That's unconscious states. From that same part that wants to behave that way is born people that hurt other, create wars, is willing to kill other person to succeed, to have power and control. Those little micro parts that we have within ourselves are the parts that we have to show a different way of being that feels safe. And so that would be incrementally teaching that internal part to become your source of safety. You become your source of safety because you are the provider of everything that you need for that survival, love, protection, safety, security, acknowledgement, acceptance, validation. You become the source of that because you take your creation with your free will. And you use your free will to provide all those things for that little parts of yourself that are willing to create harm for yourself. And so those little parts are satiated all the time. They feel strengthened. They have a strong foundation every day, all the time. When you exist, that's the integration of your higher self and your physical action. That's the alchemical marriage right there. Is the divine feminine and masculine. The action and the intuition marry each other. Okay, because our discernment, our guidance for our discernment comes from a higher order. But if you're disconnected from that higher order in survival, very primitive states of creation, you won't be able to have access to that awareness. So this is how we learn to trust deeply, okay, yourself and create from there. Put all your questions in capital letters, guys. Thank you so much for your beautiful messages. Hello, V. Hello, Nubian Touch. Great to see you, V. Andrea Keller says, Geraldine, during the summer solstice events, I saw my higher self as a little child with hair that had no end, miles and miles of it. Do you have any guidance on what this might mean? That's very interesting. I would ask what era you were existing, or how that's a very interesting visual. The hair represents the antenna or the connection to source. Okay, it represents the extension of this higher aspect of ourselves. And so in ancient times, women and men used to grow their hair very long. Okay, so those are just the symbolisms of what that means. Genetically, in the etheric body, every single part of the body is connected to different frequency movements of this organism, this multidimensional organism. So that, the symbolism behind that is a profound connection with source, essentially, that the higher self, or that you are deeply connected to that higher power, and that's cultivated by this child. I would observe the qualities of that child, and I would take the qualities of that child as something that we need to focus on at this time. That's very beautiful. V says, I feel like the more of this work I've done, the weirder I get, but I just acknowledge it and keep on going. Yeah, so it's a very interesting comment, because one thing that I realized in my awakening is that whatever I thought was normal, that I was trying to fit into in my youth, was complete inversion of what is true, of what is in harmony, of what is healthy, what promotes longevity, what promotes health, what promotes love. We have to understand that we're waking up from an unconscious state of disconnect. And for many people, the new human that we're embodying as this unified being of consciousness, we haven't seen in the past 24,000 years. When I say year cycle, there's been multiple timelines in that. So it's not including all those multiple timelines. It's in our ancestral lineage, okay, during this timeline. And so we are recovering the memory of when we have been closest to the highest vibrational frequency collectively. That's what we're doing now. And it's going to look like nothing that you've seen. Examples, Buddha, examples, Christ consciousness. Those are some examples of what our potential is. That's what we are becoming, okay? Geraldine, why can I not get over the trauma from my son's dad? The trauma bond has wanting to kill to kill myself. It's been 10 years. I'm destroying myself from the inside out. I just want the pain to go. Okay, Laura Light. So whatever meaning we apply to this trauma is our limitation. Okay? What other people do isn't what hurts us. Even physical violence, even the trespassing of our boundaries, that's not really what hurts us. Our human body is a magnificent regenerative system. Every cell in the body is regenerating. Every year we have an entire new organism. What binds us to illnesses, limitations, and trauma is the repetition of the meaning that we apply to these experiences. When we're healing, and why it's important to return back to these experiences in DNA reprogramming, is that you are learning to expand and broaden your perception to what is really true. Whatever we're repeating is actually a lie. It's a very temporary perception, very limited perception of the experiences that we've had. Why? Because we haven't learned how to exist beyond victim consciousness in this experience, okay? In the same way that, let's say, the son's dad, he hasn't learned how to live beyond his victim experience as let's say, a perpetrator of something. Okay, so we are stuck in our limited perceptions of experiences. Your son's dad is stuck in that perception. You're stuck in this perception. So we need to return back and to broaden the perception to really understand what's really actually happening here. And what you're experiencing in this lifetime is something that you've experienced many lifetimes. Your entire family lineage is repeating this same pattern over and over and over again. You are here today with the opportunity to end that repetitive cycle. And how you will end that cycle is by waking up consciousness to what's actually really happening and what's your participation and their participation in this. There's no human acts when they're asleep. Humans don't act on their own accord. We just repeat things that we've been shown. We repeat what we've known. And it's from an ignorance of understanding what is potentially available to us as an option. So we have to be brave enough to move out of victim role into an empowered state of being able to see these things. And what you're going to discover is that there is really no suffering on the other side of these truths. Every single human is a product of conditioning, a product of suffering, where they don't know how to transcend that suffering. That's all it is. And when you understand that, you can understand how to move out of it and how not to repeat that. So basically, when we take on the trauma of that father, you're basically doing the same thing that he did to the son and to you, to yourself now. You're now hurting yourself by repeating these thoughts, memories over and over again towards yourself. You are abusing yourself, continuing to be stuck in these programs. So we have to shift away from that. And how we're going to do that is by exploring other ranges of frequencies. What's the opposite of this feeling that is being triggered by that trauma? Are you familiar with that? You might know it logically. You might have heard the word, but you don't really know it. You need to know it. You need to get familiar with that. You need to sit with that emotion, feel it, to learn what it takes to embody that. That's how you're going to teach yourself to broaden your perception beyond these limiting belief systems. Acceptance is very important to move beyond trauma. You can't resist what's happened. If you can't accept what's happened, you're going to be stuck in that dynamic energetically for the rest of our life. So you have to accept. Again, resistance is where the suffering comes from. Yes, this human behaved this way. That human is a product of something. We have to be very mature to understand why they became that way. You can't ignore that. And it's unnecessary to have judgment. Discernment and judgment are different. You must discern why this human behaves this way. Discern why you behave this way. Understand that, first of all, we didn't become attracted to this partner randomly. We have encoded in our subconscious mind and ancestrally the pattern of engaging with this kind of human, this kind of behavior. It goes down the lineage. So to break that pattern, you have to stop doing it with the self first. Okay, so there's some things there, but in other words, what you're going to find when you really take a look at these things, the idea of leaving this realm for this action is completely useless. Completely useless, because your suffering is not going to end there. That's one thing. Okay, when we commit suicide, we actually immediately come back into reincarnation at the same frequency, because resonance that you left. Okay, so we repeat because you didn't learn the lesson. And you can go into hypnotherapy and look at all the lifetimes where your ancestors have repeated that exact same timeline, what they did. So the invitation is, my love, for you to understand how divine these experiences are for the alchemy of your soul. You are alchemizing, and you're not only healing for yourself. You gotta go beyond yourself in this sense to understand that you're ending something for an entire ancestral lineage, not just you. What you're battling is all the women that have been in your position for centuries, going back to your home race and the world. Okay, so these are constructs that you, as a powerful soul, Laura, has chosen to experience. And it's the same for all of you that feel stuck in your suffering, in your pain. Okay, please understand, the more that you broaden your perception, the more you understand the amount of power that you have and free will in this world. You are not helpless, not even a little bit. In fact, you are the sole creator of everything that you are experiencing. James Harkin, great to see you. When I feel my chemistry shift, I ask, whose reaction is this? Whose ghost is scripting this fear? Whose rule am I following? Excellent. Yes, that's exactly what we want to do. Is the trauma bond with the son's dad representing all the self-loathing and destroying energy already inside myself, representing the pain my father, from my father? It takes me to hate myself and I want to self-harm. Yes, Laura Light, I hope that my explanation explained that to you. But if you need more help, see if you can reach out to me personally to work one-on-one. Maybe we can go deeper into that, okay? Angie, thank you so much for your super chat. Love you. Thank you. And Angie says, please put all capital letters. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Let me see. Soulstar says, hi, Geraldine. I've been abducted since a child, taken into a camp in Maine. I saw the UFO and next remembering waking up the next morning. What is the best way to regress what happened? Yeah, so Soulstar, definitely hypnotherapy is how we can recover these memories to understand what's happening there in that experience. This definitely sounds like it's in connection to military kind of experiences. I'm going to be sharing a little more on that in this channel in the next couple months. But I also invite you to join my support group because we go deep into these topics in the support group. It's once a month. And yeah, so consider hypnotherapy. That will help you regress back into that memory and kind of unlock and remote view what is happening there, what is your contractual agreement, what is the meaning of that experience, and how to reintegrate the fractal of your soul. So, in any trauma, physical and interdimensional, fractals of our soul are kind of suspended in those timelines in the field. So we want to, in the same way I was just explaining to Laura about trauma and how to alchemize that, we have to do the same for these kinds of experiences. It's a little different in terms of context, but the process is the same. We integrate those fractals of our soul, and therefore you activate DNA and grow your light. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Priestess Isla who says, I'm confused. I want to walk the path of the High Priestess as my authentic expression. Yet, in another Self Love Sunday session, it was mentioned that titles hold back and block one's energy. Or maybe I misunderstand what was being explained. Please clarify kindly. Thank you. Thank you so much, Isla. Yeah, so great question. Excuse me. Yeah, so I think what we want to look at is it's the path of the high priestess, for example. It's a vibrational frequency, it's a mastery of one aspect of the plethora of human potential. Okay. The high priestess represents the divine feminine, the highest level of the divine feminine intuition and the mastery of that information. So again, it's not the whole spectrum, right? When we think of the major arcana in the tarot, for example, like the high priestess, that all of those cards represent archetypal aspects, all archetypal aspects. We are everything. So in the same way that you're the high priestess, you're also the fool. You're also the world. You're also, right. You are all these archetypes. This is one archetype of your potential. You are more than just the high priestess. So that's what I mean. So maybe in this lifetime, you are drawn to heal the limitations that have been held within your bloodline of accessing the high priestess for many generations. Many generations we've tried to access the high priestess. Maybe we went down to lower realms. Maybe we didn't quite get there. Maybe we fell from the top. So in this lifetime, you feel a draw to establish and master the high priestess. So it's not the name of the high priestess. It's all of the intricacies of the archetype of that you're healing within you that need to be healed at this time. Okay, so yeah, and that's why understanding that is very important, because it could be that once you understand this, you enter into the level of the high priestess in the next 3 months. And then what's next? Next, you have to enter into another octave of that. So that's why naming things, identifying yourself with any one archetype is kind of unnecessary. It's a limitation to you. You're just playing games with yourself, calling yourself names, but in reality, you are all and nothing. And so I'm inviting you to have a broader perception of your human ascension, because in reality, we need to access all. Okay, and so it's up to you where you take your evolution. You might only master the high priestess in this lifetime. That's your choice. So use intuitive connection. The key is that you connect with the authentic self and see what is the need, the lessons of that authentic self at this time. You will notice that the more you come into that authentic self, the less you need names, the less you need definitions, because you recognize yourself as all and nothing. Soon enough, you will recognize yourself as that. So I hope that answers that question. Elaine says, do hollow sync meditations count? Your perspective on incorporating a brainwave entrainment session with meditation? I am kind of a purist in that. I feel that not just because of concept, but personal experience and working with people, I don't feel that we need any external gadget to help us reach anything. I know for a fact we don't need any external support with any gadget or any technique, any external frequency. Okay, you can break those limitations within yourself. It's all about how you are managing your emotional system. It's how you're managing and mastering your awareness in the present moment, your energy system. Okay, so my number one invitation is to sit with yourself long enough to learn how to regulate your nervous system, your emotional body, yourself. Because you see, there's no quick fix and there's no quick change. The thing that people fail to understand, and this is probably because they haven't experienced this themselves. When you sit with yourself and you do this work from the inside out, from the ground up, you are restructuring the geometry of your body. You are restructuring the DNA in your field. There's no quick fix for that. It's a restructuring of thought. From every thought is a certain geometric structure. Every emotion is a certain geometric structure. Okay, so it's a cultivation process. And that can only happen when we involve ourselves in the integration. That's why all the old ancient schools of this information put a lot of work into mapping out the information to help support what you're going to be discovering on your journey organically. So I am not personally a fan of these external technologies because I don't believe you need it. I see that you don't need it. But you are welcome to explore and work with it. Maybe it helps. Fantastic. Please do try it. Michael says, as we alchemize and become a more authentic 0 point, is there a way we can know we are expanding into developing higher faculties and higher octave information? It's interesting that we have this perception that we want to find a way of like managing or calculating, or what is the word for that? Like we want to constantly assess our progress as if there was a destination. There is no destination. This kind of work is never ending because we are ever evolving. Okay, so and that's something it's very interesting that you will be learning the same lessons in different ways until you have completely activated that strand of DNA, until you've completely restored the bioelectrical system in that aspect of yourself, until you have reintegrated your fractals of yourself that are simultaneously living out those belief systems. Okay, so what do I mean? Let's say in this lifetime, your number one lesson is to understand self-worth. Let's say that you're learning how to be worthy of yourself in many different experiences, relationships, family, children, career, all these lessons to teach you how to be worthy. Excuse me, how to feel worthy of yourself. Okay, so what happens then? When you're in meditation, healing these, it becomes very easy after a while because you understand your formula to get to self-worth. And you begin to restructure your emotional awareness of self-worth which restructures the biochemical processes of self-worth, which restructures the geometric structure of your body holding self-worth. This restructuring of yourself begins to uncover ancestral memories. So you're going to revisit how your entire bloodline has been limiting themselves from self-worth. Why? Because the natural evolution of a human is to move away from the individual perception to collective perception. That's the awakening process. And so we need to learn these same lessons collectively. So how does the entire human race look like when they embody self-worth? What does our society look like? What does our communities look like? The construct that was built by the Matrix is not built on those models. What does it look like for the entire human race to embody this concept of worthiness? And then it expands into galactic, intergalactic, interdimensional, multi-dimensional. Okay, so essentially what you're going to find is that the integration of your fractals in this lifetime is one part. Then you're going to be reintegrating fractals that have lived simultaneous lives with the same programs. This can happen very quickly. It's not something that will take lifetimes. You can do this in this lifetime. Okay, but the key, the focus is that you're learning how to love everything, all of yourselves, all the many aspects of the ways that you can embody this awareness, and then it expands into a higher realm. It expands incrementally until, again, you are able to see yourself as all and nothing. And we are doing this through archetypes. So the human needs to integrate all their archetypes. There are 13 main archetypal bodies of consciousness that we are learning how to integrate in order to become whole. So as we alchemize and become in more authentic 0 point, is there a way that we can expand? So basically all that to say that the 0 point is the ability to broaden your perception, you as the all, more and more. And you will know that you're doing that by your perceptions of things becoming more universal over time. You know, as you practice, you will understand the interconnectivity of your effects, of your actions, of your thoughts in every way. And that is a way for you to understand. You know, also your past memories will no longer trigger pain or suffering within you. You will understand that they're just life experiences in order to learn something. So there's many markers to help us understand that we're embodying the 0 point, and it's a process. But ultimately, you coming into deep peace, you're at peace with your life, you're at peace with yourself, you're at peace with others and what others do. You're no longer in a state of survival and reactivity. That is to come into harmonic order. Your body, a body that is sustaining peace the majority of their day, the majority of their life, is coming into harmonic order. Bioelectrically, biochemically, energetically, etherically, biologically, we come into harmonic order. Okay, so that's kind of how we are coming into that 0 point. And also another part is that your intuitive faculties are going to be more available to you. Okay, you can't tune into past lives or even your parents' experiences without developing your intuition. The intuition is number one foundation for that. So a developed intuition, and we should be very integrated with our intuition. The intuition should be a constantly moving through us in every moment. Doesn't matter if you're doing laundry, doesn't matter if you're teaching a class, your intuition should be there with you, and you should be able to discern that intuition. That's another way of knowing very clearly that you are able to trust, and your intuition is guiding you in the direction of coming into more harmony. Again, if there were to be a goal, it would be to come into harmony. And so you can learn to recognize that harmony in more solidified, embodied states as you progress. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Priestess Isla, thank you so much. Okay, guys, last question. Soulstar, can you recommend someone who does hypnotherapy regression? I'm in LA. Yeah, so I do hypnotherapy virtually. You're welcome to work with me. In LA, I don't know if you're looking for in person. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, so there are some names there. Oh, I do have to mention that if you are working with someone, because your session has to do with ET contact, you need to make sure that you're talking to somebody that knows. Um, I have a colleague in Las Vegas that could work with you, and she's very well versed on this. So I can give you her information. Soulstar, connect with me, message me, and I can help you with that. Okay. All right, guys. That's it for today. We are way over time. Thank you for sharing with me. I can't believe that I can share this time with you. And I love you. And have an amazing happy solstice. Have an amazing weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye. Love you.